Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first BDPA Tech and Career Talk of 2024. Excited to kick the series off again. It's always a good time if you've joined us before. But if you have not, I am Devin Jenkins, our National Tech and Career Talk Leader for BDPA. I serve as a IT Success Manager for our commercial business for the US and Canada region at GE Healthcare. And I'm also the founder and CEO of Share the Vibes LLC, connecting people through music and technology. So glad to have you with us. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I know it's been some crazy weather across the country over the last weeks or two. So I hope you're staying warm wherever you're at, staying dry. It's been rain, snow, and everything in between going on these last few weeks. So appreciate you all for being here. For those who aren't familiar, BDPA is Black Data Processing Associates. The organization was started in 1975 with the purpose of continuing to develop our tech talent pipeline within the Black community. We have a focus on middle and high school students, developing their computer programming skills. There's a collegiate sector as well. Then also for professionals, we provide opportunities to continue networking and continue developing our skills so we can continue to advance our mantra of advancing careers from the classroom to the boardroom. So thank you for being here today. Also, if you're not familiar, these are our BDPA Tech and Career Talks. So these take place on the second and fourth Friday of each month from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So 1 hour, and we give you a range of speakers, topics, conversations. Some of them are interviews. Like today, we'll have an engaging conversation with our speakers. Some are more presentation style. Some topics are more technical by nature. We've discussed Google Cloud. We've had AWS on. We've talked brain-machine interaction before. Some are more entrepreneurial in nature, and some are just more career, professional development driven. So we give you a range, something for everyone, no matter where you're at in your career. And where you're joining from and how experienced you may be or not with IT. So thank you for joining us today. Make sure you're on the lookout for information around our national conference, BDPA Con 24, coming in August. Again, we'll be back in Atlanta. So be on the lookout for more details to come around that. So that's my spiel. That's my BDPA intro. That's the Tech and Career Talk intro. Without further ado, I'm super excited to have Ms. Venus Quates with us. Founder CEO of LaunchTech LLC, which we are going to get into throughout this conversation. I do want to just caution everyone, Venus is in the airport getting ready to board a flight. I'm here in a little bit. So if something happens, it's not her fault. It's nothing personal. We know how airports go. So I just want to give you that caution just in case. But Venus, how are you doing this morning?
All is well. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you for joining us. Well, we're going to get into it, and we'll let the story of the company and who you are and everything come out throughout the conversation. But first and foremost, now when I used to do the tech talks, I used to read everyone's bio and get into it. But now I think it's just better when I let our speakers give your own story in your own way. So I'll let you just kick us off. Tell us a little bit about who Venus Quates is.
Sure, it'll be quick because I don't toot my own horn. So, uh, but I'm an Air Force veteran. I also just so happen to be the president and CEO of LaunchTech. I've been in technology for this will be my 27th year in tech. And so I've done everything from the beginning, the help desk, which was not my sweet spot at 18 from New York, to build and knock floors to data storage engineering and architecture. That was probably my longest kind of running job description and career title. So I've worked everywhere from for technology manufacturers, obviously the military, also work for government contractors and then the commercial sector as well. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, you got quite the range there, from help desk to building, floors and data center type infrastructure. Man, that's quite the journey.
Right, right.
So, with all of that, tell us a bit like where did your passion for technology and like solving these business problems, where did that even come from?
I had a aunt that was in tech. She was actually a military spouse. And so as she was kind of navigating with her husband's career, she went and got her management information systems degree. So it's not that she told me to do it, but I was that kid that broke everything in the house. I was an only child too in the house. So unfortunately, there was nobody else to blame when it didn't work. So I tested the doorbell yesterday when I was at my mother's house, and it still doesn't work. And I broke it in like, I don't know, 95. But I used to be that tinkering kid that just broke everything. So the passion was already there. And then, seeing my aunt in the industry, I just knew I could do it. And so, I knew I was going to do something in the engineering or technology space. So that's where it came from.
Man, that's funny. And did I hear you say you were an MIS major?
No, my aunt was. So
Yeah, your own was okay.
yeah, my aunt was.
Okay, so I was in my S major as well, management information systems. So some parallels there with me. And I have an uncle who loves to tell this story almost every time we get around family. He say, "Yeah, I mean we were little Devin. He just had this toy car. He just tore that car." But I went and told him, like, "Man, what Devin done broke the car? What do you got going on?" I went back, he put it together and he tore it up and put it together again. So I definitely
Mhm.
can relate to that curiosity as a young person, just wanting to understand the inner workings of things and how they work. And I came up when computers and the internet were really just starting to pick up steam. So I go to my godparents' house and play solitaire on their computer and Minesweeper and stuff, and it was just like the time of my life. So I could definitely relate.
Listen, we had the tan Apple computers. I don't know if you remember that, but they weren't white and orange and all the cute colors. Now they were like tan, like manila envelope. I don't know. So I
Uh,
do remember the huge Apple box. And I was a gamer too when I was a kid.
okay.
I remember being and playing Nintendo and Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers and all that in a room with just a table and my little TV. But I was just always been interested in technology.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's so cool. So, um, kind of setting the way for our conversation around launch tech. Because I did a little digging before I called. So just looking at your career, I saw you've done military, you've done more of the corporate route on the civilian side, you've done entrepreneurship. How would you describe your journey transitioning between those different sectors, and what were some of the parallels you saw between each?
So entrepreneurship for me has always been there. I like to say I was also an entrepreneur coming out of the womb. I used to, kids beg for toys. I begged for those raffle ticket rolls so I could make stuff and then go to church and sell the raffle tickets to the old people that pinch my cheeks all the time. And then they would win what I made at home. So that was my like first little business. But this isn't LaunchTech is my first go round of literally I had a business before that, brand and business development. So but I wanted to, it's the first time I replaced what I did as a career for so long. And so and my first tech company. But I think the areas we play in, I have experience in. I think our kind of differentiator, which we'll probably talk about later, is that we understand the environments that we play in. I know it's great to start a business and just something random, but I think the easier thing for me, not easier, was let our customers that we know them. So even coming from military, going to the government contractor side of the house, working for tech manufacturers, just kind of a well-rounded and well-versed way of looking at things. So the transition was easy for me. Military, I always had a business on the side. I used to import things from the States that people couldn't get overseas. I was overseas the entire time and sell it out of my dorm room. I did hair and cut hair in my dorm room. So this has always been me.
Are you still doing hair and cutting hair?
Absolutely not. Only my own.
I could definitely. I feel that. I feel that. So you mentioned being in the military, you were overseas the entire time. So I saw, you've spent some time in Asia as well as Europe. And of course, you've done a lot of work here domestically in the US. Um, what's been your observations of how technology is valued and applied um, around the world? If you look internationally, how it works versus here domestically, just kind of what's your world view on how technology is valued and applied in different places?
So what's the interesting thing? The first time I was overseas, it was a 6-year stint. I've been over a few other times for, similar periods, but I was always supporting military. So, one of the reasons why I actually initially left working for or with the government and went to commercial is because, they were a little slow to innovate back then. I think, times have changed now and they're more open to all types of innovation and even opening up more to entertaining outside commercial, kind of the Silicon Valley-esque companies to bring some new ideas into the military. So, the differences were few then, but if you go on the commercial side of the house overseas, there's a lot of innovation going down to I went for a backpack in my 30s and started off in Asia, and even down to getting a drink or some water or using the bathroom. Everything is technology driven, you know what I mean? And it's just so far away from where we are in the States,
Mm,
as progressive as the United States is. There are a lot of companies that are way far ahead of us too. So I think innovation will probably be the biggest difference for me in your everyday life. And I think, we still have a ways to go.
mm. So I think that's just a good foundation just for your background, the experiences that you had, and as I looked at Launch Tech and the areas you're playing in, and who you're serving, I definitely want to hear more about those experiences you had personally. I could definitely see how it translates into what you've been able to build. So let's get into that. Tell us, what is Launch Tech?
So we are a technology solutions provider. I call us a baby systems integrator. So I like to say we're experts at managing and navigating critical technology infrastructure. We primarily play in three different lanes, three distinct lanes: information assurance and cybersecurity, mission and operation support, and also enterprise IT modernization. So that first pool, offensive and defensive cyber, DevSecOps, SOC support, things like that. Also, forensic analysis, mission and operation support is people. So any way that is outside of technology, most people just think tech is the coding part and, you know what I mean, the quintessential sitting in front of a computer or a server and tinkering. It's also the people that manage the environment around it. So your program managers and things like that too. Process improvement, people, BC and DR, business continuity and DR. So a lot of that falls in that lane for us. And then that enterprise IT modernization. We are experts at navigating the AI space, emerging tech, things like that. So all these hot buzzwords, we have an internal framework that we created to take any sized environment from legacy onward. So I think that's really unique for us, especially kind of having relationships with technology vendors too that are several steps in front of where technology is headed.
Yes, it's still. I remember when I think we first met maybe back in October. And
Mhm.
you said something similar to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm struggling to wrap my head around that. It's like, it sounds like you're doing a lot for a lot of people. Which takes us to the mission of Launch Tech, which is our mission is to deliver excellence. Period. And I said that in
Mhm.
my ratchet voice when I read on your website. I don't know if I was supposed to or not, but
You
delivering
can. It's meant
excellence.
to stick. Yeah, period. What do the young kids say? I don't know, period.
So delivering excellence, period. Digging into that off everything you just said, what does that mean for Launch Tech, and how are you delivering excellence to your clients, but also helping them to deliver excellence to their clients?
Absolutely, a great question. And also folding on, kind of drawing back on what you just said, we actually don't do a lot. We do the same thing for all the customers that we serve. So we're sweet, nice, great at all of the three areas that I mentioned. Technology is, somebody can say you're in tech and I can mean 8,000 things plus some, but those definitive lanes are what we do, and that's it. And then we repeat. It's like if I'm talking to you and saying hello in English, but I say the same in other languages, I'm saying the same exact thing. I'm just translating it depending on who we're talking to. Um, so the kind of finite and really focused sectors that we play in, very same thing. Delivering excellence, period. It wasn't our original tagline. Solving the present and launching the future was our old one. And it sounds kitschy, but what the heck did that mean? It matched for technology modernization because we did solve the present and we launched you into the future of innovation. But this one here, I kept on repeating that excellence. I'm prior Air Force, And excellence in all we do is one thing we said on the Air Force side of the house. I'm also a kid that was raised by a single parent that made sure I knew I was representing her when I left the house. So I couldn't just body press my pants. I had to come back and iron them, right? So that spirit of excellence is in my DNA. But for the company, it's making sure that we understand where our customers are trying to go. So we can not just prepare them for where they are now, but kind of focusing forward too. It is finishing what we started, being honest, being transparent, all of these things. I think we focus so much as professionals on doing it perfectly, but sometimes, yeah, you do with what you have, but make sure it's done well. So that is what excellence period means for me and for what we do for our customers.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I too was raised by a single parent, and yeah, I was ironing people used to laugh because my jeans had creases in them. So I definitely relate to that and that spirit of excellence just being birthed into us, at the home unit and the family unit, that translating into everything we do professionally going forward. So it makes sense that you said that. Now I want to get into, you mentioned your customers a lot and some of the things you do for customers. So I'd like to understand a little bit better who are some of the clients that LaunchTech is serving. You serve in four major sectors. We have government, space, financial services, and healthcare, which are all essential to basic survival. Really, when you comes down to it. So, what can you tell us about the clients you serve in these critical sectors, and how are you driving value in those industries?
Absolutely. It's very intentional. We've also added the energy sector. So another thing that you kind of need for basic needs, or you need to
Absolutely.
see. But for me as a business owner, I wanted to make sure we were operating in places, again, that we knew starting off. We understood those areas. Second, as a business owner, you want to serve customers who are going to be able to pay you not only pay you, but for you to sustain a business. So, for instance, during the pandemic, knowing that we have the customers that we have, they have to be up 99.999% of the time, no matter what the economy is doing or anything else. Even the government, during the government shutdown, we have essential workers on some of our contracts as well. They still had to work, you know what I mean? So, in every single place that they may spend a little less, the economy is going, but they still spend and they still buy from us. So great place to be in as a small business. We can still sustain, so when I first started the company, I think because I was small, I thought maybe let me start with small companies or small people. And that was the hardest $2 I ever worked for in my life because they wanted a lot, the small companies. They wanted a lot for a little bit of money. But I'd been trained and had worked only on the enterprise level. So it just makes sense. We're doing, again, the same exact thing for different environments. One of the lanes I mentioned was mission and operation support. Mission support is something we understand completely on the military and defense side of the house. We understand this mission first. Operations is something that is probably more digestible from a commercial perspective. So
Mhm.
you understand, we're just kind of translating things. You might hear service desk, it may be help desk in another sector or whatever. So same exact thing, delivering excellence and making sure our customers can run all the time and anytime.
No, that's big. That's big. No, you said something about, you serve these different customers in these different sectors, but you're doing the same exact thing for all of them. Um, Language is just a translation of a message in a way that people can understand it. So when people would ask me about, programming, what's it all about? I said, all you're doing is learning how a computer talks. You're just learning their language. You say hi, a computer says 0110000. Like it's all just learning the language. So if you can translate mission, operation, commercialization in a way that all your customers get it, that definitely makes sense to me. Going off of that, I saw that LaunchTech has received a number of recognitions within the industry. So maybe to kind of put a bow on all of this, what is it about LaunchTech that kind of separates you from the pack that's positioned LaunchTech to be recognized as this industry leader?
There's a slide on a presentation I give, like if we're pitching the company, and it has like a list of recognitions on it. And not only did I create the presentation, but I don't know, I pause every time I come to that slide because, I understand and am the one that was in a spare bedroom in my home when I first started the company. So to even be at that place now where, we I've been featured on Inc. 5000 several times and Inc. Regionals and Vet 100 awards and things like that, and known as, the top 10 and top five fastest growing woman owned and veteran owned. That's crazy for me. But I think the sweet spot for me is a few things: being agile, being committed, and being forward thinking. So the agility piece, we're small. I think in some ways we have infrastructure set up like a large company. We do things, I think people, even when it was just me in the back office, thought we were bigger than we were. I'm anal about things being together and we're being prepared and being not being reactive, but proactive. So I think that agility piece is necessary, especially when you're playing in a tech space. Also, that commitment is one thing too. So I mentioned that we were transparent. Um, I make sure if we can't do it, we're going to say we can't do it. So that trust and integrity piece, it again came from my mama and then was kind of rooted and cemented from the military and then so on. And that's just making sure that you have one time to make that first impression with your customer and you don't want to ruin that. And I think if we are being honest, the preconceived notion that comes with being a minority company in technology, being a woman minority owned company in technology, I want to make sure, from the door, people understand what they're getting and that we deliver, we under promise and over deliver. And then that forward thinking piece, innovation. By the time we finish this conversation, something has aged out in technology, right? And that's what it is. So technology is ever changing. I think we focus on the big picture. We keep those relationships with tech manufacturers as well. So, they're spending the millions and billions on innovation and we're small, like, so we leverage those around us and team with those around us to make sure we're staying knowledgeable for our customers too. So I think that's different. Um, and then finding people. One of the things we say is we grow people. And so it's finding that talent that has that little something, or those who can just come in and hit the ground running and give your customer what they need the first time, right? And then making sure you expect people to come in and stay for 20 or 30 years, or however you have the company, but sometimes they don't. They want another opportunity that you don't have internally. I just want to make sure they're prepared when they leave. We have one gentleman, I talk about Proncor all the time. He was like my very first W-2 employee. I taught a class at a university at Buffalo, and he was my teacher's assistant then. And I think he lied and told me that he didn't get any internship, so he could ask if we had some. And I was like, I can't pay you. It was like very early. "Well, you could be an intern, but I can't pay you." He's like, no problem. He took two shuttles from the suburbs to downtown where my office was, and he worked harder than anybody that was being paid, even the contractors at that time. And so he had an electrical engineering degree. He was working on his degree in electrical engineering. So by the time he graduated, we didn't have anything for him. But I taught him how to separate himself from the pack and all the other electrical engineers. They wouldn't know procurement, they wouldn't know pricing, they wouldn't know how to price themselves and, call for the salary that they wanted, and negotiate that. So right now he's a QA analyst at Google and they actually paid for him to come out there, and so this is the type we nurture and grow people and make sure, they're forever changed personally and professionally. So that's where we're different.
That's amazing. And we're going to allow a little time here for some questions from the audience here in just a second, because I know you have to go. But building off of that, are there any employment opportunities with LaunchTech currently, and how can people learn about them?
Yeah, so we have some that we are going to drop soon, but I literally 2 days ago got called for a big project in New York City with a large partner of ours, and it's doing work. We were originally based in New York, so we do probably 60% of our revenue comes out of the state of New York, federal, state, and commercial. And then, so we have a state customer and a large opportunity working on the security side. So network engineers, cybersecurity engineers, architects, cybersecurity analysts. We also have systems engineer, systems administrator positions on that effort. So I have about 8 positions open there. And that's a brand new one. We have a new opportunity for federal and DC that's starting in a month. So we have a few. So probably check by maybe Tuesday, and all those positions will probably be up online. And then plenty more. Like we're always working, we're always hustling and always looking for some great talent. I'm not gonna hire you just because you're brown, but you better be capable, committed, and all those things that I mentioned too.
Got to be able to deliver excellence.
Let's do the work, deliver excellence, period.
No, I love that. I love that. And I think I'm going to wrap it up here. You alluded to it a little bit a few minutes ago, but you spoke about being a minority woman, a veteran-owned company. Um, and I think that's very timely as next week we begin Black History Month, followed by Women's History Month. So just what has been your experience? There may be others on the call who are looking to start a business or have businesses and want to see them grow into enterprises, or maybe we're just trying to make our way in the corporate world or whatever it is. But what has been your experience as a minority woman, service disabled veteran, owned business owner? At operating at the level you're operating at, because I would say this isn't it is a LLC, but it's not like my LLC. Like you're like an enterprise LLC. So, what's that experience been like for you?
You know, funny enough, I just spoke yesterday or the day before at Buff State University, and it was for a class of um, minorities and women that were looking to do just the same. And, I think sometimes we can get caught in that space where, oh, it's because I'm Black that I'm not getting these opportunities or anything else. But please let me tell you, I'll give you an analogy that I use then too. There's one line that has every single business you can imagine in it. Then there's another one that is designated and set aside for us because we're minority owned, woman owned, service disabled veteran, or what have you. Stand in the short line. Don't stand in the long line and wait. There's opportunities, there's free information, there's grants, there's all these other things. Make use of that stuff because I'm not sure how long it'll be there. So I think it's very I took everything that was available for me. If it had my name on it, I don't lead with that first because at some point I want to be known as a technology company, not a woman, minority, and service disabled veteran-owned tech company, right? So it was initially challenging. Apparently, I look a lot younger than I am, so a lot of people kind of question that first. Most of the time, I introduce myself as having 20 plus years experience in tech, so we can get over that part and we can move on, right? So that's one thing. And then having to kind of spell your resume out when you walk in the door. I'm used to it, but in the beginning, it's like, come on, like I know what I'm doing. I know what the company is doing. So I think that initial kind of phase was challenging. It wasn't difficult because I'm born for this. There's nothing else I want. This is my plan A through Z. The B through Z is go back to plan A, so there is nothing else. But I just say be steadfast and be prepared. There may be some preconceived notions when you walk in the door, whatever you're doing, whatever kind of business. Just make sure you're not doing the stereotypical things. Oh, I don't like to work with Black businesses because they don't X, Y, and Z. Like, I'll make sure we'll never miss a payroll because you hear that a lot. Like all these other things that I think people have as angst. I remember I was hiring my first few people internally. We had this big office in Buffalo where I started the company. And there were the people that were minority didn't question anything. They were excited that I was there. Like from the middle of the state over, I was the only one that looked like me trying to do what I was doing. The people that weren't minority asked questions like, well, what if we decide to go out of business tomorrow? Like, ask questions like that. And so, I just kind of worked around it and pivoted, but always making sure I was extra and over prepared walking in the door. And then also making sure down to our marketing materials, we did everything with a spirit of excellence. So the advice I would give, make sure you're prepared, stand in that short line, get everything that's free or low cost on the table that was made for you. And then never stop believing. I'm a true testament to that. You can start from the bottom and then grow to anywhere. The sky is not the limit.
No, thank you for sharing that. For those in the call, I just dropped the website in the chat. That's www.welaunchtech.com. www.welaunchtech.com. So definitely go to the website to learn more about the business. If you're interested in some of the roles that being shared a few minutes ago, check those out and apply. And come ready to deliver excellence. So I want to open the
Yes.
floor up to our audience. In case there are any questions or comments from anyone before Venus has to leave to hop on this flight. So any questions from the audience? Make sure you come off mute if you are speaking. We do have a comment in the chat from Albert. Says it's been such a pleasure to listen to such a profound and enlightened speaker. Great presentation.
Thank you.
I give it one last opportunity in case there are any questions or comments from anyone.
I just wanted to say, Venus, it was a pleasure listening to you, and Devin, you did a great job hosting this. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jason.
Jason. Thank you. Let's see, Lavelle says, can you please talk about the importance of building relationships?
Absolutely. I think, you know, that saying that talks about us going further together. One other thing too, and just being 110% transparent, those that have never had mentorship in business, there were a couple of companies that have approached us, never had one professionally either. So all of this is kind of self-determination, right? But I had approached and wanted to surround myself with people that looked like me too, that understood the struggles that we often face, not just to talk about the struggles, but, as minorities in business. But I think it is different with building relationships and growing together, sharing resources. And that's one thing I definitely do. When I speak to business owners, like the other day, I always allot a little bit of my time on the weekends. I don't get much free time, but I absolutely make time to speak to them if they have one-on-one questions and things like that. And I think that's important. Um, Building relationships, sharing resources, sharing information, not just holding it because it's not yours to have. I think we all learn things, even on this call. It may not be for you today, but guess what? Somebody will ask you a question. Hey, I heard about X, Y, and Z. Or somebody may ask you about a job. Don't hold that in. Give them my website or give them something else, tell them what you know. And so if that's anything I would tell you, that make sure you're building a solid team around you. Please don't say no new friends. When that came up, I thought that was the most ridiculous saying and song ever because it's nonsense. Make sure, you also say you're the product of the 5 people you hang around with the most. If you're not getting forward and growing forward, you need to change that circle for real. So having strong relationships is super important. It's actually one of my goals this year to actually take time out of my schedule to nurture those relationships around me, those professional and personal relationships, because I've been so career focused and business focused for the last God knows how long. So it is definitely important. Thank you for asking that question.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. For those in the chat, I have dropped our website, bdpa.org/tech and career talks. You'll be able to find the recording of this session out there. It'll also be on our National BDPA YouTube channel. So go like, share, subscribe, click the link in the bio, whatever it is under that all the influencers do. Make sure you do that, turn on the bell, all that good stuff, and share this with someone. This is a great kickoff to our year. With our conversations. So thank you again, Venus, for sharing with us. Salute to you and all that you're doing with LaunchTech. And keep this going. Crystal asked, are you a BDPA member and what chapter?
I am not, but I can be in probably the DC area. So we'll be connecting soon.
There we go. Our new national president lives up in that DC area too, Perry Carter. So that'd be a great connection. And he has some military background and all that good stuff. So that'd be a good relationship. I can make that intro. So yeah, we're
Thank you,
gonna get
thank you.
Venus in. Gonna get you in Atlanta at BDPA Con.
I'm there.
So again, thank you for sharing with us. I know you have to run. This last thing I asked, how can people connect with you on LaunchTech going forward?
So please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Don't be shy. I'm not, it may take me a couple days, Devin. That's just because I'm busy, not because I'm rude. But please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I think you may have access to my email address there as well. Venus@welaunchtech.com is my address for anything career-related, careers@welaunchtech.com, or our website if there's anything specific apply. And then for new positions, they come up, we change them every few weeks. So keep looking.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to end a little early today, but thank you, Venus. Safe travels in your flight today. Thank you to everyone who joined our call. Again, be on the lookout. The recording will be uploaded soon on our YouTube channel, National BDPA. Go like it, subscribe, share it with somebody. Comment in there some nuggets you got. Share it with somebody who needs to hear it. We'll be back. I think that's February 9th, I believe. It's the second Friday. We have some dope speakers lined up this year. So make sure you come in for the next one. Be on the lookout for our emails. Until next time, as always, stay safe and stay blessed.